Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And we're Envy Board Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at Jaws. This is a one versus all game where someone's going to be playing the shark, and everybody else is going to be on a team of people from the movies, right?
Yeah.
Quinn, all those people, trying to take out the shark, and the shark's trying to take out all of them. And it's interesting. It plays in two different stages of the game. Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and show you guys how it's played, and then we'll come back and give you our final thoughts. All right, so Jaws is a game for 2 to 4 players, published by Ravensburger and designed by Prospero Hall. So Jaws is a one versus all game where one player is going to be the shark, and all the other players are going to be either Brody, Hooper, or Quint, or someone might control multiple people. And what's really interesting about this game is that this is played over 2 acts, right? And by acts, I mean like there's 2 different parts of this game that are played very differently, okay? So this is a double-sided board. On this board is Act 1, and on the flip side, it is Act 2. So turns for this game are pretty simple and pretty quick. The way a round is going to work is that there are 3 phases to the round. There's going to be an event phase, which is going to revolve around these event cards. Then there is going to be the sharks phase, where they're going to do their actions. And then you're going to have the crew that are going to be able to do their actions. So during the event phase, what you're going to do is you are going to not throw cards across the table, but you're going to flip one over, right? And it's going to tell you where to place the swimmers. So the objective of this first round, or this first act, is that the shark is trying to eat as many swimmers as they can, getting all the way up to 9. If they get all the way up to 9, that's going to trigger the end of this act, right? And as you can see, the more swimmers that the shark eats, it's going to set them up for the second round, okay? And this is also going to determine how many gear cards that the crew is going to get in the second act, all right? So the more you eat, the stronger the shark's going to get, and the weaker the crew, or the more disadvantaged the crew is going to be at, okay? And so for the crew, what they're trying to do is they're trying to attach 2 barrels to the shark. And if they do that, they're going to trigger the end of the act as well. So you flip over this, and what you're going to do is first you're going to look and see where the swimmers are going to go. So in this one, you have 1 swimmer that's going to go to North Beach, 1 swimmer that's going to go to East Beach, and 2 swimmers that are going to go to West Beach. Make sure you don't accidentally place out Michael, because this has got a specific card in order to put them out. It has the ×2, so if the shark eats Michael, I believe his name is Michael, hopefully I'm not saying that wrong. Yeah, Michael, I believe that is his name. It's going to count as 2 swimmers instead of just 1, all right? So you're going to put those out, and then what you're going to do is you're going to look at the text below. And this is going to give like a little bit of a twist for this round. So for example, this card says that the docks are under repair, and that barrels cannot be dropped off or picked up from either dock this round. So you have a dock here and a dock here, which is a good way for Quint to get the barrels so that he can put them out and trying to attach them to the shark. So it's going to affect the game that round in one way or another. All right. So after you play your event phase, then the shark is going to go. And the shark is going to have this little notepad. It's going to have a map of the island here and where they're going to be able to mark down what they're doing. Now, during setup, they're going to choose a location on the board using the letters and numbers in order to make it a little bit easier, so you don't have to write down too much. But you're going to pick a place to start. You will not place this shark token there. That's only going to come up during specific situations. And then on the shark's turn, what you're going to do is you're going to have a possible 3 actions here, okay? So your actions are going to be simple. You're going to move 1 space, or you're going to eat 1 swimmer for an action, okay? But the shark also has access to these 4 shark abilities, all right? Each of them doing something unique. Like, for example, speed boost. This round, your shark can move up to 3 spaces for 1 action point, or 1 move action, I should say. You have out of sight. So this one makes him invisible to Hooper's fish finder and Brody's binoculars. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. You have the feeding frenzy, where you can eat all of the swimmers at one beach. At the beach that you're in, you get to eat all of them. So if I was in West Beach here, for 1 action, I could eat both instead of spending 1 action for each swimmer. And finally, you have the evasive moves, where you do not trigger any motion sensors this round, which is what will happen, and I'll get to that. I'll talk about how that works in a minute, okay? So what the shark's going to do is they're going to take their actions. They're going to be able to mark down where they ate the swimmers and how many, if they took any power tokens, if they used any of these power tokens, and you can only use 1, and once you use it, it's done. Each one's only a one-time use thing, and you're going to be marking your location to keep track of where you're going, okay? So pretty quick, pretty simple. And what you're going to do after you have taken your action as the shark, you're not going to tell the crew what actions you took or didn't take. You're going to take them all secretly, and you'll plan them out, privately, okay? And so when you're done, you're going to tell the crew a couple different things. You're going to tell them how many swimmers you ate and at what beach, okay? So you'll tell them if you ate any, right? So you're going to tell them how many you ate at what beach, and you're going to remove those swimmers from the board. So let's say I took these, and I could adjust my little swim marker here, saying I ate 2. I would then let them know if I had essentially triggered any motion sensors or that are on the floating barrels that might be out there. And then I'll also let them know if I played any of my little power tokens, okay? I don't have to show them which one I played. I'll just be like, I played one of my tokens. That's it. I do not have to tell them which one, but you do have to let them know whether or not you played them, okay? Now, as the game progresses, right, there's going to be barrels probably floating in the water because the crew are going to be throwing them out there trying to get them onto you. And if they don't, the barrels are then going to become these little motion sensors, okay? And if at any point during your turn, you're in a space with a floating barrel, you're going to trigger that motion sensor. And so at the end of your turn, you have to let them know which of the motion sensors that you triggered, okay? You don't have to say when you triggered it, you just have to let them know if you did trigger the motion sensor, okay? And so it doesn't matter if you triggered it before or after you ate swimmers, you don't have to tell them when, just which ones, if any, that you triggered, okay? So that is going to be the shark's turn, okay? After the shark takes their turn, then the crew phase is going to be able to happen next, where the crew is going to be able to take their actions. And what's nice is everybody has their own little player board that lays those out as well, because your actions might be different. For example, Brody, he's on this island, right? So it's not like he's going to be out here throwing barrels, but his whole thing is that he's going to be able to move around. He's going to be able to rescue swimmers. If he's at like North Beach, he can spend an action point, and he's able to get to save them. He's going to be able to go to the shop and pick up some extra barrels for Quint. And he's also going to have access to these tokens, the binocular and the binoculars and the close a beach. Okay, and each of these are going to work a little differently. So for Brody, let's say he uses his binoculars, right? So once per round, okay, he can put these at one of the 4 beaches, okay? And so you're going to place them there on your space, and then the shark is going to have to tell you if they are in that water at the beach, okay? And if they are, that's when you're going to, so let's say I was here at North Beach and I said, hey, are you here? If they are, they got to put their shark token there to let you know. So that's when you're going to use that shark token, okay? The other thing he's going to have is going to be this closed beach. Now this one you can only use when you are at the mayor's office. And so when you use this, you can close a beach, right? Any beach, so long as there are no swimmers. So if this swimmer was here at North Beach, I could not close that beach, I would have to close one that doesn't have any swimmers, like South Beach. Okay, so I would close that beach, and so what that's going to do is that as long as it has no swimmers, right, that's there. So when I place it there, in the future event cards, if it were to place any swimmers here, I do not put them, okay? Instead, I'll flip it over, and it'll say opening soon. And then the next time, when an event card would place one or more swimmers there at the beach, I don't place them, and instead I'm going to remove the beach token, okay? So it's gonna be able to save you from having to put out any swimmers at a specific beach. So that's how Brody's gonna work. Hooper and Quint are going to be, don't have as many actions available to them, but still very important. So Hooper, right, he's on a speedboat. He can move, and they can move up to 2 spaces. And all these spaces that they're moving have to be adjacent. You can't move diagonal. You know, I can't go and jump across like if I was here at West Beach, I can't go for one movement over there to 1. Right? Now, for Brody, or for Hooper, he's on his little speedboat, so he can move 2 spaces each action. So I can go 1, 2 if I wanted to for him. But he's the only one that can do that. Again, he's going to be able to rescue swimmers. He's going to be able to pick up any barrels that are at docks. And then he can give all of those barrels, if he's in the same spot as Quint, he can give him all the barrels. And he's also going to have this little fish finder here. And so Hooper, what he's going to do, he's going to place this fish finder in the water in your space, and the shark would have to announce if their relation to this fish finder, right? So if you're in the same space, you're going to place the shark mover in that space. If you're in an adjacent space, you just tell them that you're nearby, and if neither, then you just say, I'm not there or nearby, right? That's how that's going to work, and that's going to be Hooper. And then you're going to have Quint here, and Quint, very similar, move 1 space, rescue a swimmer. You can pick up any or all barrels from the docks, right? And this is even, you can get from Hooper's boat as well. Or you can launch one. So you can launch one of your barrels. So if he starts with 2, you can either put it in your space or in an adjacent space, okay? And when you launch a barrel, right, and diagonal again is not adjacent, just so you know, okay? So when you launch a barrel, you're going to place the barrel in the space that you're targeting, and the shark has to announce if they're there. If the shark is in that space and they're hit with the barrel, and they have to take it and attach it to them, okay? And if they get hit with a second barrel, then that is going to end Act 1. Okay, if they're not in the space, then the barrel is going to remain in the water floating, and it's going to become a motion sensor, which we talked about earlier, and how they're going to be able to be triggered. So essentially that's where you're going to go. You're going to keep going until you get 2 barrels on the shark, or if you're the shark, you're going to try to eat as many swimmers until you get to the top, and that's going to trigger the end of the act. Now, once you're at the end of the act, you go to the second act. So let's go ahead, I'm going to pause the video, and I'll get us all set up, and I can show you what the second act is going to look like. All right, so Act 2 is going to look a little something like this. Now, each player's board, they're going to flip it over, and it's going to have, so if you recognize these, this was from Act 1, you flip it over, and now it has the breakdown of the round, as well as a little health token here, or track, I guess I should say. Now, each of these characters are going to get their starting 2 gear, right? So Brody gets the pistol and the baseball bat, and all their gear has to remain face up in front of them. And then based on how well the shark, or how many swimmers, I guess I should say, were eaten, gear is going to get handed out, as well as shark abilities. Now, with the gear, you can distribute it, the crew can distribute it however they want. So let's say they gave these 2 to Quint, these 2 to Hooper, and these 2 to Brody. All right. And so once they get that all figured out, they're going to place where they want to start their turn. And essentially a round of Act 2 is going to have 6 phases. So Act 1 had 3 phases, this one has 6 phases, but they're all pretty simple, and this is what it's going to look like. So the very first phase is going to be the resurface options. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip over these 3 resurface options in this area, okay? And as you can see, each area has a letter for it. So you have A, B, C, and you're going to be able to mark these. So you can put, okay, well, this is A, this is B, and this is C. Okay, and so once this has been done, the shark is going to choose. And the shark has these 3 larger tokens. They're going to take a look at them and decide where they want to attack. All right, and where they're going to, which of these 3 spaces are they going to be in? Okay, and there's a few things that the shark is going to consider. Okay, so looking at this, not only does it tell you where you're going to be, it's also going to tell you how many attack dice, what your evade is like, as well as if you have any shake off abilities here, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So the shark is going to secretly look at their little tokens, decide which one they want to do, and then they'll go from there. So let's say the shark chooses this one. They'll also be able to choose any abilities that they have that is optional, and they'll place it under the token. And then once they've chose, they will wait, or that'll be the end of the shark chooses. So you got the resurface, then the shark chooses. Next is going to be the crew is going to prepare. So the crew is going to be able to do a couple of different things. They're going to be able to move, and they're going to be able to decide where they want to attack. So each crew member is able to move up to 2 spaces. However, sorry, if you're moving from a water space, like if you're in the water actually, and you're moving onto an adjacent boat space, that is going to take both of your movements. So essentially, it's a lot more difficult to climb out of the water into the boat, okay? But you do typically have 2 movement spaces that you can use. So you can move around, obviously following adjacency rules. You can't move diagonally, but you can move twice, right? And so you're going to be able to move around on the board, and what you're going to do is you are going to choose a weapon, right? Depending on what you have, you're going to choose a weapon, and you're going to be able to target one of the spaces that you want to attack. Okay, so Brody has a pistol, and he has a bunch of ammo. So since he has a ranged weapon, which is, you can see here with the little crosshairs, he can go anywhere. So he could come all the way over here on the boat, and he could shoot all the way over here to C, right? Because he has a ranged weapon. However, if he had a melee weapon, like he does with the bat, he would have to be either attacking the space that he's in or an adjacent space, okay? So there is a little bit of a range to keep in mind, but let's say Brody chooses to use his pistol, and he's going to use ammo, because if he doesn't have any ammo, the pistol is a one-time use, and all these cards tell you exactly how they work in the text, right? But he has extra ammo, so he can use that, and he can say, okay, I'm targeting C, I think that's where they're going to go, all right? And everybody's going to take those actions. Maybe they'll want to separate. Maybe Hooper, wants to use his hook, and since he'll be adjacent, he'll be here, so he can play his hook card there. And maybe Quint's like, okay, you got C covered, you got A covered, I'll go 2 spaces here, and I'll cover B. Or maybe they want to all go for the same space wherever they think, but well, maybe A isn't where we should actually go. Okay, well then maybe Hooper's like, okay, well I'll join you at B then. That might be a wiser choice. Kind of trying to decide where do we think the shark has chose to go. And let's say Quint says he's going to use his flare. So let's say he's going to try to use the flare, okay? Just so I can give you a little bit of variety of what things are going to look like. So once they have chosen where they're going to go, the shark is going to reveal the position. And he's going to place out his token. So he's like, I went to C, so I'm here, all right? And once the shark reveals where they're at, and if they played any ability cards, so they didn't, but there are a number, that are going to help them. Let's say if I had played this, my evade value is a 3, okay? And anything, so it increases my evade value. So if I had played this, instead of me having an evade of 1, I can have an evade of 3 as the shark, right? And again, all of these ability cards are one-time use. So depending on how quickly you want to use them, it's totally up to the shark. So once that happens, once you reveal what's going on, then the next phase is going to be that the crew gets to attack first, okay? So first you're gonna see, okay, how many people selected the right spot? Okay, only Brody did. So these Quint and Hooper are not gonna be able to actually attack during this phase. They'll be able to keep their items, but they won't actually attack, okay? However, Brody did choose correctly, so they're gonna be able to attack. And I should say, since I did pick C, I didn't mention this, but it has this little hook, right? And so that means that he can shake off, which is going to apply to any items that he has attached to them with this little hook symbol. So if this flare was attached to, in an earlier turn, had gotten attached to the shark, what's going to happen is that at the end of the round, they have to roll a dice and take that many wounds for the shark. So it's not very fun. But if the shark goes to a space where he can shake it off, he can get rid of that flare. So that's how that's going to work when the shark reveals. But anyway, back to the crew attacking. You're going to essentially follow what the gear tells you. So he's using a firearm, and this one tells you, if I'm using the pistol, that Brody gets to roll 2 dice, okay? And let's say the shark did go to B. If after I had revealed this token, let's say the shark went to B, right? Brody is able to move his token to an adjacent space. So he could have gone over here in order to, join that attack. But that didn't happen. So Brody is going to roll 2 dice. And what he's trying to do is roll higher than the evade value on the card. So for C, the evade was 1. So he's got to get more than 1. He gets 3. The shark is going to take damage equal to the difference. So 3 minus 1 is going to be 2. He's going to take 2 hits. And the way this game is going to end, it's 3 different ways. Okay? The crew's going to win if they get 18 hits on the shark. The shark is going to win if he gets enough hits to eliminate all 3 characters, each of which have 6 health. All right? Or the shark is going to win if he destroys the orca. Okay? And the way that's going to happen is that after the crew attacked and all that stuff has happened, obviously Brody would have to pay an ammo in order to not lose his gun. If it was attached, it would then go to the shark so that we don't forget about those abilities, those kinds of things. But that's essentially how attacking is going to work for the crew. And very similarly for the shark. So the final step is going to be the shark attacks. So the shark is going to be able to attack, so you can choose either a boat space to attack or a person. Now, in order to attack a crew, they have to be in the water, right? In your space or an adjacent space. Okay, that you're targeting. So the shark's coming here, so I go to target here, here, or here, depending on what I want to attack. So you're going to announce which space you're attacking. You're going to roll the number of dice that are on your resurface card. So in this case, I get 3 dice. And I'm kind of going for these values. So for this space, it's 2 and 4. Over here, it's 1 and 3. And what that means is the smaller value, I need at least 2 hits in order to damage it. And so whenever you damage one of these tiles, they're going to flip over and they're going to have a damaged side, right? But let's say I roll enough hits to for the black number here, which is going to be 4. If you hit that, then you're going to be able to remove it completely, getting you one step closer to victory. All right, so that's how it's going to work. So those numbers are going to represent the number of hits you need in order to damage or to get rid of it. So the shark's going to roll, let's say, okay, I got 3 dice. Let's go for C. Let's see what happens. I got 2, 4, 5 hits. Now this token is gone. Okay? And if any people were on that boat space, they immediately fall in the water. So if Quint was on there when I attacked it, the shark cannot attack Quint, but when I destroy it, they fall in the water in that space. And then what's going to happen is that the shark is going to have an opportunity to do a bonus attack, right? So before the shark goes back underwater and starts the round again, they're going to have an opportunity to attack a crew member that is in the water near them, okay? So, for the bonus attack, the shark is just going to roll 1 dice, and that crew is going to take that number of hits. So in this case, Quint would take 1 hit if he had to happen to have fallen in the water there. We know that he didn't, but that's what it would look like. And then what you're going to do is you're going to discard all these resurface token or cards. You're then going to bring out new ones, and you're going to continue again from the top through the 6 phases until one of those objectives are completed. Either the shark is defeated, all the crew is defeated, or the orca is completely destroyed. And then that's how you determine who wins. So yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty simple, really quick, snappy turns. But let's go ahead and take it back up top and give you guys our final thoughts.
All right, and we're back. Thank you for that fabulous teach, Andrew.
No problem.
So, playing this game, what were the positives for you?
Well, first I'll start off with saying I'm not. So this is by Ravensburger, right? And I like Ravensburger's games typically, and it's designed by Prospero Hall. So Prospero Hall has always been kind of a hit or miss, and sometimes when they hit, I feel like they can do a really good job, but when they miss, it is like brutal miss for me. Yeah. And so like they do games like Funkoverse, which I enjoy to a certain extent, and you know but then they have other games that are just a bust. But anyway, I won't talk about those games. Jaws, you know, I've seen the movies before. It's not like I'm one of those Jaws fanatics or anything like that. I mean, I know the characters with Hooper and Brody and Quint, but I thought the implementation of the IP to a board game, I thought it felt very thematic and went really, really well. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I know. I don't know. Were you always like a big fan of the movies or anything like that?
Not like a huge fan, but I watched them growing up. Like my mom was a fan of the movies, and I still is. And so,
yeah. I
mean, yeah, like I watched it growing up.
Okay. And so yeah, so I thought they did a pretty good job with taking this IP and finding mechanisms and everything work really well with that. It is a 1 versus all game, and so I think this is a genre that has really started to grow on me quite a bit. I like being the one that everybody has to come after. I like being on the team, trying to play that meta of where's the person going, what are the, that meta game and getting in the other person's head kind of thing. I do enjoy that, and they really did. I think they did a really great job. This is a game that I don't think it's talked about as much as it should. And I got this game. It's been a little while since I've had it, but I got this game really cheap. It was discounted after the holidays one year, and I picked it up, and it was so cheap I bought a second copy because a buddy of mine was like, pick a copy of mine up for me. And so I did that, but I really like that. I like that idea. The first stage really kind of sets up the second stage. If you're the shark, you want to eat as many swimmers as you can because that's going to determine how many shark abilities you get. Yeah. If you are, the people of your Brody, Hooper, Quint, you're trying to get those barrels on them and trying to do everything so that you can get more tools for the second round, right? And so really that whole first set is just setting yourself up in order to try and win the second stage of the game, right? And I thought the player abilities were really cool. I really liked it, and it was like super simple, quick, easy rule teach. There's not a ton of components, and I really just like the simplicity of setup. And I think it worked really, really well. So yeah, what do you think?
Well, yeah, my positives would be, it is very thematic. Like, I felt like I was actually being chased by a shark, and I'm stuck in this boat that is getting eaten piece by piece. And so for me, it did feel very thematic. I like the 1 versus all too, except when I did play did play the shark.
Yeah.
Just so you didn't have to be the shark and you could actually experience being one of the people. Which wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But I like one versus all. Like, I like being able to have people on my team and we're going out and we have, like, a common goal of defeating something or doing something.
Right.
Because, I mean, I like cooperative games, too. So.
Okay. What about negatives? Any negatives?
I would say for negatives, I don't know. I feel like the characters, some of the characters feel, I don't know, better than others, but I feel like that's just who the characters are.
Okay.
And I feel like you're a little limited sometimes too with them. Like, you can only do so many actions and like, and it depends on like who you're playing with too, because you have to be able to like all like collaborate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't get that sense. I think you definitely have like different roles if you're like Brody trying to shut down the different beaches or getting those little canisters out and everything to everybody. So yeah, I thought everybody played the right part, and it was just, if you could work together well, you could be really successful.
Right.
And, you know, making sure that you're going around and, okay, I can save this many swimmers. How many can you get to? You know, what can we do? Where do we think they're going? You know, oh, I got the binoculars. I got this. I got that. You know, all these different things. So, yeah, I really, that was just me. So, for me, I don't have a ton of negatives, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Prospero Hall did a great job with this one. I think it's one that has kind of fallen under the radar, but for me, this is still one that I would love to pull out and play as all the time. You know, I like it more at more players. I mean, if you play two players, one's a shark and then the other person controls all three of the people. So it's definitely a little bit more fun, I think, at higher player counts. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah.
Playing it at, I would prefer playing it at 4, in all honesty. That's probably my ideal player count for this game.
Right.
So yeah, but that would be my only slight negative, is that it is more fun with more players. I guess that is the case in an all versus one. Otherwise, it's just 1v1.
Right.
But yeah, so I don't have too much negative with this. I think this is one that people, if you can get a hold of it, go play it, go try it. If you like Jaws, I think you'll love this game. I really do. And I don't really see too much of anything that makes it a bad game or anything to knock it for. So yeah. So
that's really the only thing that I can think of, is maybe like with the, but also, I mean, I think I've played all of the characters, and so it might just be too that I just have like my favorite one.
Right.
And so I think with like the other characters, I maybe didn't use their abilities as often, or maybe I just didn't utilize them like I should, but yeah, that was just me though.
Okay. So I guess what would your score be for this game?
I think I would give this like a solid 7.
Solid 7? Okay. I like this one quite a bit. I would give this a 7.7. So this is pretty high up there. I really like it. I think this is, if you're going to play a one versus all kind of game, this is a pretty good, it's not too heavy. It's a pretty good entry point to jump in to those kinds of games. I really like it. I think it's a great solid play that you probably can pick up really cheap now, I bet. I can only imagine. So that's going to be our review for Jaws. Definitely go check it out. Which Jaws movie is your favorite Jaws movie? Let us know in the comments. And also, please like, comment, and subscribe. And click the little bell icon so you get a notification every single time we post a video.
I also have another question.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Send us, what's your favorite shark game that has sharks in it?
Game.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, if there are.
Because I can think of another game that I like that has sharks in it. So I'm curious.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to talk about that off camera. All right. Well, until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Bye.